Wished it was a quality burp, but it ain't.
Welcome, the Gamer Man's Lounge. Awaken to play.
Hello and welcome to the Gamer Man's Lounge. Motherfucker. Hey, that new outro that's coming for us? Yeah, just cancel it. Cancel it out. Just cancel it. Just cancel it. Son of a bitch. Okay, I guess after this video I gotta go ahead and sort out my issues, but we gotta keep on moving, we gotta keep on going, because we got this cool weather. Right now we're in the month of May, we got this cool weather, so we don't know how much longer do we have. So, yeah, let's get right on going, and let's go figure things out. Hello, and welcome to the Gamer Man's Lounge. I am Lord Gamerman of the Lounge. Here with a good... Oh, wait a minute. Oh, quality burp. We got the quality burp, guys. Quality burp. Okay. But, no, seriously, welcome to the Gamer Man's Lounge. Today, we're coming at you with a video describing my month's... Well, my a bit more than a month experience. Don't you fucking... I swear, don't you ever... fucking correct. I was about to correct myself, then you go, and then you fucking correct me. You do this all the time. Okay, so today I'm about to be giving out my month's worth of experience with working with Mac Mini. Now this is Mac Mini M2. Actually, hold on. Let me start over from scratch. This is basically my discussion of pretty much almost a month's experience with Apple's M2 Mac Mini. So yes, this is like a Mac Mini, it's been a thing, but what's new is Apple's M2 chip. Now the M2 chip is like a huge step up from the M1 chip, from what I have heard, and yeah, it is pretty much crazy to say the least. So, basically what it is it's like a tiny little Mac Mini, okay, but it's like powered by M2. But there is a catch. You have to figure out your own keyboard, your own mouse, your own display, your own... Yeah, that's right. You have to figure out your own monitor. You have to figure... Now, there is built-in speakers in the Mac Mini, which is something I thought was never there until I had to learn that the hard way. There was speakers built in. Go fish. So that is something interesting here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go through the Mac Mini M2 specs for... of course, the Mac Mini M2. Now, the Mac Mini M2, now for CPU, processor, Apple's M2 chip, well, Apple's M2 chip is both a processor and GPU. Now, for the CPU port, it's an 8-core, but for M2 Pro users, you get 10 to 12 cores CPU performance. Now, for GPU, like I said, there's the CPU and GPU are like built in with each other when it comes to Apple M2. Now, base model users will get 10-core GPU. However, M2 Pro users will get 16 to 19-core GPU power on their M2. So this is pretty great. So that's customizable. Now, keep in mind, this is information from the official Apple website. Should have said this in the first place. Now, for RAM, 8 gigabytes to 24 gigabytes in unified memory. In translation, it's basically their version of RAM. It is the way that it is. Now, for M2 Pro users, 16 gigabyte to 32 gigabytes for the Pro users. The Pro users get the premium treatment, the Pro treatment. Now, for storage options, we see 256 gigabytes to 2 terabytes. They're all going to be solid-state drives, SSDs, especially probably NVMe SSDs. However, if you are an M2 Pro user, you will get 512 gigabytes and up to 8 terabytes of solid-state drive storage, which is very interesting. So 8 terabytes. What are you going to do with 8 terabytes? And of course, for network, wired Ethernet or Wi-Fi 6E, which is up to 2.4 gigabytes, or I mean gigabits per second. Something which is like, this is like Wi-Fi 6E stuff. This is like updated version of Wi-Fi 6E or something like that. Now, expect a clean front, so no ports whatsoever, nothing. But on the back, here's where you get to have the power button and all its ports, so it's something like that. So, for the back ports, you have a power adapter. Ethernet, you have the option to switch between gigabit or 10 gigabit. Now, HDMI output only. Yes, I know you can output through Thunderbolt, which I will get into that later. There is going to be a headphone port where you can plug in like speakers or headphones or whatever the case may be. And you get, for both M2 and M2 Pros, 2 USB-As. Now, if you are going to be the M2 vanilla user, you will get 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports. These are going to be Thunderbolt 4s. And for M2 Pro, expect 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports. So the Pro guys get the Pro treatment. They get 2 more Thunderbolt 4s. So yeah, and for the price range, we're definitely looking at $599 US. That's for the base model, being the 8 gigabytes and 256. And yes, the customability options, this will definitely, and yeah, it's gonna get crazier. Like, you already are gonna have stuff at $1,000, but we went through the maximum. We had like 8 terabytes. We went through 32 gigabytes RAM. We swapped out to the 10 gigabit, and the price range can basically really go up to around $4,500. $4,500, which is insane to say the least. It is pretty much crazy to say the least. It's insane. I'm absolutely shocked and appalled too. It's crazy, but hey, they're going big and they're going all out with it, so it's insane. It is insane. Given my circumstances, I decided to go with the base model and see how things will work out. Yeah, there's going to be some issues from left to right. There's going to be some stuff that might come up. But hey, base model, definitely good enough. And actually is really good enough, given my experiences with editing when it came to iMovie especially, and CapCut, which is going to be... which CapCut I use for editing for TikTok, because I make TikTok content. Now, also, the base model was basically not just money, but also ability-based stuff. I wanted to wait a little bit more longer, but the issue going in there is that I was not going to be able to do that, and even if I were to save up the extra money, I better figure out a means of having access to a model that has 16 gigabytes of RAM. So here I go. And however, I will get more into that detail later, but with that totally said. Now, I did went with the base model, but what I decided to do was get a hold of a dock, a Thunderbolt dock, that was going to carry 2 USB-Cs, SD card slots, and a insert for a NVMe SSD. So I got me a Team Group 1 terabyte NVMe SSD stick. I put it into the slot. It's pretty much installed into my dock, and I have that plugged up into my M2. So I get like 1 terabyte storage for me to like store my videos and store my video content in, while I leave alone the integrated 256 gigabyte storage. So yeah, something to keep in mind about. So yeah, you can find a dock that absolutely has hard drive support, where it does have like a hard drive slot where you can plug in. My dock absolutely comes with a NVMe SSD slot, so I can have like an external 1 terabyte hard drive. Well, not hard drive, solid state drive. So expect hard drives to be history when it comes to Apple's integrated software, and some docks. I know there's docks that have support for both NVMe and traditional hard disk drive. Something to keep in mind about. So if you're going to go for the base model, at least you could sort out your storage issue by getting a hold of a Thunderbolt dock with pretty much a built-in external storage support, like a solid-state drive slot where you can plug in like a 1 terabyte Team Group or more into it, or other brand, something like that to be the case. Now, I did swap out my keyboard and mouse for a keyboard and mouse kit from Mac-Ally. Now, Mac-Ally is the company that is known for, it's a third-party peripheral firm that produces mostly accessories for Macs, especially keyboards and mouse. But however, they're meant to be like affordable, budget-friendly for Mac users especially. So Mac-Ally had something that was more of a proper keyboard and mouse for Mac OS, so went ahead and did that. Definitely impressive. And totally a lot cheaper compared to Apple's Magic Keyboard and Magic Mouse, which can run you at hundreds of dollars. Something to keep in mind about. Okay, so out of all the included software that is basically included, okay, you have your App Store. Yes, Mac has its very own App Store, of course. No duh. It does have its FaceTime messages, and oh, it has a dedicated podcast thing for podcasts. You can listen to music. It has its music player. And it also has its movie players, whether through QuickTime. And there is the Apple TV stuff where you can do like Apple TV streaming stuff, like, or especially you went to iTunes and you bought movies from there. I remember buying that Watership Down movie. This was probably the 1970s version of it, the old dark one. The old one that's like, which is supposed to be like a kid's film, but it's like brutal. I decided to watch it because I want to know how crazy it can get. It's really dark, don't get me wrong. It's crazy. So, yeah. Okay, so there's voice memos, which is perfect. Okay, so it does have its own weather stuff and stocks and whatever it is. But one thing I noticed something out of the blue, and I will definitely go ahead and agree with this one. It has its very own version of Microsoft Office from out of nowhere. Alright, Keynote is basically presentation software, which is actually like their competitor to PowerPoint. Numbers is basically like a graphing number sheet software that's like a competitor to Microsoft Excel. Pages, it's like a Word document software, which is a competitor to... It's like a competitor to Microsoft Word. And yeah, it got interesting here. Now, they do have its own competitor to Movie Maker, which Windows is not doing anymore. From what I don't know what's going on with them. I don't know what happened to Windows. I don't know what happened to Windows Movie Maker. Weird. But there's iMovie still going alive and still going strong. Now, iMovie is the video editing software. It's included for free. It's for free, but I've been using it, and boy, oh boy, it is really great for a budget-friendly, especially free for all Mac user software. There is limitations. There is pretty much limitations, and I know you can go through those limitations if you buy that premium version of it, which I will get into later. So, yeah. But, however, there's also Freeform, which is like a bulletin board software, like a bulletin board app. Something like that. So, it is very interesting to say the least. So, and then there's GarageBand, which is basically music making software. But there is a more limitless premium version out there. Again, I will get into that later. So yeah, the included stuff in the included applications, I'm surprised to see that. I'm surprised to see that be a thing. So yeah, it's crazy. So this is what's been included in Mac OS the whole road. And yeah, you're an iMovie user. Actually, as a matter of fact, being an iMovie user for a whole month felt really great. It's like totally leagues better compared to Windows Movie Maker. And not only that, I'm more familiar with iMovie because it's kind of more similar to like other editors that I have used in the past. But boy, oh boy, it is just more easygoing than ever. Very easygoing than ever. I'm absolutely satisfied when I edit with iMovie, and my editing goes pretty much a breeze when it comes to iMovie, and I love iMovie. It's pretty crazy. Okay, I think that is it in terms of included software. The included software selection is damn well improved, because you have to take into account iMovie has been more interesting than ever. Actually, much of a bigger free editing software than ever that Mac users have access to. Like, seriously, I'm really jealous. Like, pretty crazy. And you can just, I researched iMovie because of all the crazy stuff that you can do, and I played around with the software a little bit more. Wow. It's pretty crazy to say the least. However, if you're a content creator on YouTube looking to go more premium, or you're a music maker wanting to go more premium, then boy oh boy, things are not going to be pretty. Then it's going to be pretty pricier, to say the least. Now, Final Cut Pro, which is their premium version of iMovie, expect that to be $300, or $299.99. Okay, we're talking about $300. Now, if for music producers, Logic Pro, $200, or shall we say $199.99, basically $200. So they're very pricey software, to say the least. I mean, Logic Pro is like $100 cheaper compared to Final Cut Pro. But I make videos. I don't produce music. Yeah, the music producers get it really good. Yeah. I took a screen caps of both of those premium, so something to keep in mind about before jumping into it. But however, the free version of iMovie, or let's just say Apple's free version, iMovie, a blast to use throughout, definitely. As stated previously, when I tapped on the Mac Mini discussions, now, I am a base model user. Quality burp. Comes with the quality burp, by the way. Now, as a base model user, quality burp not included, you're going to get 8 gigabytes and 256 gigabytes storage. So, yeah, the base model is going to run you at $599, $600. But, however, it has its hiccups. It has its hiccups, but most of the time it's been smooth sailing for me. As long as you get a hold of like a dock, which has like an insert for NVMe M.2 storage, or whether solid state drive or a hard disk drive, where you can pretty much expand the storage up to like 1 terabyte or above, and you're really good. Alright. This is for external docks. Just get yourself an external dock and a 1 terabyte storage, whether NVMe SSD. My solution was a third-party dock that had an NVMe SSD slot where I plugged in a 1 terabyte SSD drive. And I kind of saved stuff to my external SSD drive, and I kind of leave alone the 256 gigabytes, and kind of leave the 256 gigabytes for when I'm like installing applications on my Mac or something like that. So, being a base model user, yes, there's going to be some hiccups, and I had to unfortunately stomach for that base model. It has its hiccups, but it's smooth sailing most of the time. Now, what model of Mac Mini you're going to be getting, I'm going to tell it to you, it's not just money. And you're not going to like this. It's not just money. Yeah, it's money and ability. And what I mean by that is, are you able to get a model that will get you 16 gigabytes? And yeah, that second question you have to ask yourself depends on, hey, do you have access to a nearby Apple store? Can you have Apple ship it to you? Or do you need that discount that Amazon has for you? And it's been very interesting to say the least. Now, I noticed how a lot of third-party retailers outside Apple and Apple stores. Now, I decided to go through Amazon and go through Best Buy. Now, I did got my base model M2 from Amazon, being an Amazon Prime member. Now, I ended up getting the base model, which was essentially discounted cheaper. Even though a bit cheaper. But, however, let's basically go through the listings for Amazon and Best Buy. That is, if you do not have access to an Apple store, or let's just say, oh, you want to take advantage of a discount that Amazon or Best Buy has got. Because here's the thing. So you may have to basically figure something else out. You're going to have to pretty much figure out another retailer to get your Mac Mini from. So, and this is where we bring in the Amazon and Best Buy listings, starting with Amazon. Now, Amazon has the base model, which is going to give you 8 gigabytes RAM and 256 gigabytes SSD. Alright, that's going to be the starting price of $599. However, there's a discount going on right now as we speak. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how long it's going to be. But there's like a $50 discount. Same with the storage upgrade model, which I'll get to a little bit. So, as of right now, it is discounted, and the price being at $559, which is not bad. Now, for the storage upgrade model, you're not going to get improvements to your RAM. You're not going to get an up on your RAM, but you're going to get an up on your solid-state drive storage. And if you want RAM, that's definitely going to be a bummer for you, because expect to pay $800 or $799.99, alright? But there is a $50 discount from what I'm finding out. $749.99, which is very interesting. Wait, that doesn't look like $749.99. No, that's definitely $749. Yep, $749. But if you want to up in RAM, this is where you're going to have to gun for the Pro model. Now, Amazon's listings for the Pro model, which is very interesting. Now, Amazon has a listing for the M2 Pro model. This is going to give you a 10-core CPU and 16-core GPU. But you're going to be getting 16 gigabytes RAM, and you're going to be getting 512 gigabytes SSD storage. And it's going to get interesting here, because you will be paying $12.99 or $1,299. But there is apparently some $100 discount where you can just pay $1,199. So, yeah. So, $1,199, not bad. So, yeah. Now, they're all going to come with gigabit internets for the Amazon listings. Something to keep in mind about. Now, this is where I go to the Best Buy listings. And you're just going to see two. You're just going to see two listings for the M2. Because Best Buy is only going to sell you the base model and the M2 Pro. The M2 Pro, which, of course, is still going to come with 16 gigabytes of RAM and 512 gigabytes SSD. So you're up in RAM and SSD still when you go up to M2 Pro. And not only that, you are getting more than 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports. Alright, you're going to get 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports. Something to keep in mind if you're going up for the Pro. Something to keep in mind. Now, I wanted to go ahead and just wait a few months and get myself upgraded so I can basically get myself saved up a bunch of money so I can go for something that's going to give me more RAM. But I had to factor in not just money, but also the ability. So, yeah. When you're going for those Mac Minis and you're wanting to up on RAM, not only do you have to have the money, but you also have to have the ability. And if you're not going to be able to see yourself to a local Apple store, you have two choices. Have Apple ship it to you, or take advantage of whatever discount that Amazon's got. So, something you're going to want to keep in mind when you decide, oh, I'm going to go ahead and get me a Mac Mini. So, remember, keep in mind of it. You're not only needing money, but you're also needing ability. Alright, because not everybody lives nearby an Apple store, and not everybody's going to have the ability to see themselves down to a Apple store. Something to keep in mind about. Now, why did I get myself a Mac Mini? Now, I needed a dual PC setup. So one PC can do all the gaming, the other computer can do all the capturing, and I can do the editing on the other computer. And that was where my Mac Mini computer came in. However, what I do want to go ahead and talk about is the dual PC setup. What is that? Now, how that works is that I do all my gaming on my Windows 11 gaming computer while I have an extra HDMI cord basically plugged into the Elgato HD. So not only is it outputting to my monitor, my 32-inch monitor, but I have a second HDMI cord that's feeding from the secondary display ports to the Elgato capture card, which the Elgato capture card is plugged into the Mac Mini through a USB 3 to Type-C adapter that Apple provided. Apple didn't provide it, Apple sold separately. Pardon me. Pardon. I'm saying, pardon me. But no. Apple has its USB 3 to Type-C adapter. So that was where I had to go ahead. So one Thunderbolt port has my Elgato capture card. The other is going to have my dock, where I have the 1 terabyte external SSD in there. So, yeah. Now, for dual PC stuff, it's been smooth sailing the whole road. I've been using OBS for gameplay capturing. Now, when it comes to using the dual PC setup, I had to swap audio between my headphones plugged into my gaming computer, and I have to swap on over to the Elgato capture card sound output option, so that way I could go ahead. But I did manage to recently get a hold of like a pair of headphones that I could hook up wirelessly, and I have the monitoring on when I open up OBS. So when I am capturing gameplay footage, I have a second pair of headphones that I could just swap to, and I could still hear the game audio going back and forth. Now, at times when I'm too lazy to kind of do something like that, I would just record it and not bother to like change audio outputs on my gaming computer. So there's going to be gameplay footage captured with no audio, which most of the time is going to be definitely because I'm too lazy to swap audio outputs, or I forgot to, or something along the lines. So yeah, there's things to keep in mind about when it comes to using my dual PC setup. And when it comes to me capturing gameplay footage, smooth sailing. Definitely smooth sailing. Now, for when it comes to editing, I do 1080p. Yeah, I do 1080p video editing, and it's... being a base model user isn't going to be that big of a deal to me because I do 1080p video. Now, if I'm doing like 4K, that could be a different situation here. But something I seem to have noticed is because, well, especially whether it's Final Cut Pro, because from what I'm hearing, Final Cut Pro doesn't really demand much. Really doesn't demand too much. It's not too much for a base model. So that's kind of interesting, especially for a base model M2. I find that kind of weird. I barely run into any issues with OBS capturing. Now, even though if I do run into issues, it's pretty much because of user error. Probably my fault. So, something to keep in mind about. So, there is, like I said, being a base model user, it's going to come with some hiccups. There is going to be some technical hiccups. But hey, it's smooth sailing throughout. So yeah. The final verdict. A lot of people recommend you to upgrade the RAM, alright, and upgrade the solid-state drive storage. However, if you can, you can. And I have to say this, it's not just money, it's also ability, okay? Alright? Now, if you're going to have to stomach being a base model user, then you're going to have to stomach being a base model user. If you're going to wind up getting a base model, then I suggest you get a external Thunderbolt 4 dock or a Thunderbolt dock that's going to offer an option for 1 terabyte external space or 1 terabyte or more external hard drive space or solid state drive space. Okay, so kind of like how my Thunderbolt dock has like an NVMe where I have like a 1 terabyte team group solid state drive installed into it. Again, you know what I mean. And yeah, I just use the 256 gigabyte SSD for just like installing applications onto the Mac and whatsoever. But if I want to export my video files and capture gameplay footage, I have things outputted to my external 1 terabyte solid state drive. Something to keep in mind about that. So that is for if you're going to have to get the... Now, I don't care what model. Actually, as a matter of fact, I don't care what model you get. It is absolutely recommended if you are a content creator to have an external dock that has external storage options like an NVMe SSD or traditional hard disk drives. There's going to be docks that are going to have options. Alright, so make sure you have the storage expanded to 1 terabyte or above if you're going to be a content creator or you're going to be a music producer. Something to say the least. And yeah, I don't care if you have but I have 8 terabytes. But Lord Gamer Man, I have 8 terabytes of storage. 8 terabytes of storage. You're still going to need that external storage because you're going to be storing your video files that you upload to the internet. Or let's just say you have access to an NAS or whatever the hell you got. I mean, I'm just saying. You're going to want to expand. It is the way that it is. So, yeah, make sure you get a hold of a dock, which is going to be something. And yes, there is going to be a catch when it comes to being a Mac Mini user. The Mac Mini is going to come with the Mac Mini and the power cord. You're going to have to figure out your own Ethernet. You're going to have to figure out your own keyboard and mouse. You're going to have to figure out your own monitor. Okay? And yes, speakers are built into the Mac Mini, and there's Wi-Fi 6E, absolutely, but hey, something to keep in mind about. So Mac Mini is basically a more cost-effective way, and it does have its catch, but being a Mac Mini user, definitely worth the experience, definitely worth it. If you can upgrade the RAM, you can upgrade the RAM. But if you're going to have to stomach being a base model user for the time being, then you're going to have to stomach its technical hiccups. And there will be smooth sailing, definitely. Most of the time, smooth sailing for me. So, something to keep in mind. But if you're going to do 4K editing, then you're going to want to go for a Pro model. So, yeah. But if you're going to have to stomach getting that, and no matter what model you get, no matter how much RAM and how much storage you upgrade, you're still going to need that. You're still going to need that Thunderbolt dock port. You're going to need that Thunderbolt dock, which is going to offer expandable external storage. Something to keep in mind about. And with that totally said, that is all. I will be looking forward to you in the next video. Peace out. This is a video product made by a fellow gamer man. We hope that you enjoy the content, and we also hope that you enjoyed the shenanigans. We'll be looking forward to you in the next video. Peace out. Heyo!